now. Okay, and we are live in 3, 2, 1, go.
Another night of NBA playoffs has wrapped, so of course it's time for the AfterBuzz Sports Recap. Let's get it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Bow. I want to be like hyped, but like I'm so down right now.
No, you have to be hyped.
I'm kind of depressed.
You gotta be a cheerleader for
I
your
need
team.
you guys to hold me
That's all
up
right.
because
I
I'm
got
low
you.
right
Prop
now.
you up.
Got you, man.
Because your
I don't
team
even
lost?
know. Yeah, I had to figure out what to like how I was gonna get through this episode.
Oh.
So I actually brought myself a gift to
Did you?
help me
Oh my
through this
God.
episode.
Okay.
I call it. Some people in some areas call it a 40. That's what I call it too. So that's what I'm going.
Lord, he's
I
pouring a little
gotta get through
liquor.
it, guys.
Are you
I gotta
already
get
pouring
through
out a
it.
little liquor
Look,
for the
bro.
Wizards?
Oh my
We'll
Ye
talk about it on the
little
show. We'll talk about it on the show.
Wow.
But you know what, Jill? Maybe you should let them know where they can find him while I get to know my drink.
While Deanjilo gets himself together,
Yep.
I'm Jill Munroe. You can find me all over social media, everywhere. I love to talk NBA and other things at Stiletto Jill. To my right,
What's up, guys? I'm Christine Alexis, and you can find me all over social media at Christine Bean. And don't send any Warriors hate my way, because I will clap back at you.
Ooh, there it is. That's the New York right there.
And I told you it was gonna come out. At some point.
on the couch.
What's
Where
up?
you at? What you at?
What's up? I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Josh_Rodriguez_. Do not mess with Christine. I've seen it. She's from Brooklyn. Do not mess
Hey.
with her.
I guess you guys can hit me up on Twitter. I don't know. Who cares? Deanjilo TV on Twitter at Deanjilo on
It's
Instagram.
okay, man. You're gonna be okay.
I don't know, but I guess we have to talk about the game or something.
Yeah.
Or something.
So
Hey, let's not,
this is actually really satisfying for me.
Yo, you are the GOAT tonight. Like,
It's
Yeah.
not over.
I have already started on this
MVP
thing.
goes to D'Angelo. You
It's not
straight
over.
up bar out of 40. Like,
All right, but
40s and shorties right here.
40s and shorties.
40 ounce bounce right here.
Shout out. So the Celtics defeated the Wizards in overtime, 129-119. Here's my question for you guys.
Okay.
Is this game or this series so far more about the Wizards blowing big leads, or is it about the inspirational story Isaiah Thomas has shown with his connection to his sister? For you guys, as we're gonna have the highlights play while you guys talk about that, because I'm conflicted. I have such a bias with it. I'm so focused on the negative with the Wizards, but like there's two very interesting storylines with this series so far.
I think you have to keep in mind with both of these teams, they're not heavily playoff tested, especially the Wizards per se. So I think for them, I feel like they're the better team, but the Celtics right now seem to be more cohesive at the moment. The Wizards seem to be falling apart at the end, not being able to hold on to these leads they're building. You don't really understand why. Bradley Beal was on a milk box.
Yeah, he was gone.
Do they still have those? What happened?
They-
Do they?
They might not have them in our public schools anymore, depending on what Betsy.
I don't know.
Betsy
Well,
decides.
wherever you are, is it a little poster, Amber Alert, Twitter Alert, something? Bradley
knows?
Beal needs one.
You really? So Isaiah Thomas dropped 53 points today. 53, the most since I think I read this AI in 2004 in the playoffs, where AI dropped 55 points. So like he played an inspired game, but it's still more about the Wizards for you and them blowing the lead.
Yes, it is. It is. Because I think that there are certain players Isaiah is obviously shown that he has taken this tragedy in his life and used it as fuel. Today is actually his sister's birthday, I'm sure. People have heard about that story. So I just think that the Wizards are a better team. And I also think they're a better team equipped to make an exciting, skipping ahead Eastern Conference Finals with the Cavs.
What do you think?
Anyway.
We were just debating this before we got the tape, because I was saying how badly I wanted to see the Celtics and the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you all promptly shut me down on that one. But to answer your question, though, I think it's obviously a little bit of both. I think the Wizards honestly just keep giving their games away. That's the sentiment I get after the last buzzer. I'm like, wow, they gave that one away. But at the same time, you see that post-game interview with Isaiah Thomas, and I don't know, I'm watching him the entire game just turn up, and I feel for him. Like, I'm in his head emotionally, not literally, but like kind of envisioning and empathizing where he's at and seeing the drive that he has to really close out in this game, and he's playing like he wants it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the press conference, I think we have the video of that, so we could get that one.
We had the video
maybe
of
get that
Isaiah
playing.
Thomas interview.
And
It's an interview with David Aldridge at the end. I don't know if it's...
Yes, David Aldridge was interviewing him.
Yeah.
I am conflicted because I didn't think about, and during the game as a Wizard fan, I'm not thinking about that with Isaiah Thomas, but hearing it did give me a soft spot towards the situation. So let's play that press conference or that post interview.
Thank you very much, Isaiah. Where is this coming from, man? Where is this coming from?
It's my sister. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. She would have been 23 today, so everything I do is for her, and she's watching over me, so that's all her.
I mean, 18 for 33,
Beast.
4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 53 points. Like, that's a heck of an inspiration. He went on to say too, like, what I thought was interesting. He was like, when I'm in the court, it's like I'm in the zone. You know what I mean? I feel inspired by her, but then when I leave, it's a reminder that she's not here anymore. So like, I was just like, I was thinking, I was sitting there, I'm like, man, I'm so sad about my Wizards, but like, it's almost bigger than that. It's bigger than just the basketball game.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's really interesting. Is this series over to you guys?
Absolutely not.
No.
Let me add the
No,
fact that
I don't think so.
Boston's been shooting the 3-ball very well. Last game 1, I mean, they shot the lights out from 3-point range. That's not something they usually do. Jake Crowder had like 25 points. I forgot how many.
24, yeah, or 6 of 8.
Yeah, 6 of 8 from 3-point range. So, and I think they had 13 threes tonight. So this is not typical Boston. They don't really shoot the threes that well. Isaiah, someone in the chat said it earlier, Isaiah's going to need more help. I think they're right. He is going to need more help. He's not going to be able to drop 53 every single game.
Absolutely
and let's
not.
be honest, the Wizards had 2 games that they could have won in Boston.
Yeah.
Boston, all they did was hold serve. You know, they didn't do anything special. You win your 2 games at home.
And that's what
So,
you're supposed to do. You
yeah.
expect, the home team to take those 2, and
Yeah.
then the away team, that will become the home team. You expect them to win theirs too.
Yeah.
So unless something drastic happens in DC, that's when you start to get panicked.
I think the Wizards blow them out in Game 3. I really do. I actually think they win both games, 3 and 4 in DC, and I think the winner of Game 5 wins the series.
What did we feel about Markieff Morris getting a little get back in his little conversation with Al Horford at the beginning of the game? Like, what's up, so did you do it on purpose? Let me just throw you on the
He's having
outside the
problems with
lines
everybody.
here.
First Millsap.
He's the edge on the team. You got to have that.
But you
Draymond
need that,
Green
yeah.
guy.
You need
he's
the
just that
irritant.
guy. Yeah, well, you do need. I like it. I love that we have that.
I like it. I'm still a fan of 90s basketball, so I like to see a little physicality pop up every once in a while, just so that it's not just a finesse game.
Yes, just basketball.
Yeah, we got Trapsy Towns makes a good point. Wizards are switching on Isaiah Thomas way too much.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a defensive strategy. What are you going to do? Are you going to hedge on him? I mean, what would you do? How would you stop Isaiah Thomas? Because right now they can't stop him, which is kind of interesting because I figured John Wall could at least give him a little bit of problems. He's longer, he's taller. I think he's a little faster than Isaiah, but he doesn't seem to be phased at all.
I think that you have to look at Bradley Beal's play and his lack of confidence. He wasn't effective anywhere. Not that he's the greatest defense guy, but if he's suffering, it's going to affect the whole team because they don't have a lot of depth in their bench anyway. So you kind of need him to step up a bit more, and maybe that's when John can get some of his breaks and those strategies.
Beal 4 for 15 today.
Yeah, I was about to say 14 points, 4 for 15. That's one thing about him too. If his shot's not falling, his all aspects of his game is just. He's not a guy who has that mindset to like, okay, if my shot's not falling, let me see if I can get involved in other ways. But so if you get him out of whack, you really put a lot of pressure on all the other players for the Wizards. But I don't think we have to talk about this game forever, guys.
Okay.
I think we can move on.
Moving along.
Do you guys have any points?
That's up to you, man.
Let's move on. Yeah.
All right.
He's like, let's keep it going.
So, in other news, the Golden State Warriors won another playoff game. Shocker. Golden State Warriors won 106-94 to the Utah Jazz, and it was not that close. It was not that close.
It wasn't.
It was not close. Is there anything to you guys that the Utah Jazz can do to make these games at least compelling?
The only way the Jazz can win, they have to slow down the ball, which they actually tried to do, use the whole shot clock, but they have to shoot at least 50%. They have to hit some threes because the Warriors are going to hit some threes, but they have to shorten the game, and by shortening the game, you have to hold on to the ball, use the whole shot clock. You can't get into this run and gun thing with the Warriors because they're going to destroy them. They will destroy the Jazz in 4 games if that happens. But I think Quinn Snyder's a great coach. I think he does that. I think they listen to their coach. I think the Jazz are a very well coached team. They're just not good enough.
I mean, they overachieved. Let's be 100. Had the Clippers not had their familiar injury issues or dark cloud, whatever seems to constantly happen with the Clippers. Side note, blow the Clippers up, please. Anyway, I don't think the Jazz expected to be here, no matter what they say, no matter how they.
Interesting.
I don't believe that. But go ahead.
You think that they expected to be there?
Yeah.
Yes.
They should have believed that they could beat the Clippers with Blake Griffin or not, because they beat him when he wasn't hurt.
I mean, I know that they did, but I don't believe that they really expected to go on. And even if they did expect to go on, it's like playing for the right to be executed in the next round. So with that, I don't know how much they're really going to give. I think they believe that they're playing hard. You know, I think it's a challenge. It's an interesting thing because the Warriors just have so many tools.
They do.
They're just outplayed this early, that kind of seed in the playoffs at all. So
and then your best player, Gordon Hayward, has 12 points.
Their top scorer was Rudy. He had 13 points.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think they would play a little better than this.
10 points in the
Rodney,
third as
he can
well.
score.
He was balling.
He can
He was
score.
the only one really like putting in an effort for me.
But you say that like they can play a little bit better. So even if someone scored threw in another 12 to let's say 14 points, still got to catch up with Golden State. And
Gordon Hayward's going to give him more than 12.
He has.
I mean, I know he has to.
He has to average at least 25, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say 25. He needs to average mid-20s in this series
for this game to be competitive.
Yes.
Not for them to win.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, here's my question, Warrior fan, that we have here.
Warrior fan.
Do you get nervous ever? Like when you watch these games, is it even like, are you even on the edge of your seat? Are you bored? Like what's happening here?
Steph tweaked his ankle. That's nerve-wracking.
That was headline worthy that Steph was getting some work done on the bench while, his ankle was giving him issues. So that raised some eyebrows for me. But no, I'm not worried at all. I'm just going to keep it a buck. Like I said this to you earlier, I'm more concerned each game of how they do it, how they get their wins, because that to me is going to test their longevity down the stretch, because they're going to need to win a host of different ways, I think, when they match up with Cleveland later on. So I'm not worried. Do you
have critiques for is there a way for them to improve in this game, in this series?
Well, I think this game was when I actually started to notice the difference in coaching in terms of like timely substitutions. Like there was a point in the third where I was like, oh, you're going to put in JaVale McGee now? Like I would have probably done that a little sooner. I think Steve Kerr has a really good gauge on his team, obviously, and knows the guys. He feels the game. He feels when certain adjustments need to be made, and I think the team is doing a better job at meshing with Mike Brown, and I think that'll come over the course of this series. I will say I was too generous in the first round, and I think I said Golden State in 5.
You're not the only one who didn't think the Golden State was going to sweep them.
No, I said sweep.
You said Golden State would sweep the Blazers?
Oh, not that.
I know you didn't.
You said
the sweep in this.
The Jazz.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. I still think that I think Golden State will ultimately take this round, but I think Utah can get one game out of them.
I was on the same boat.
I think. I mean, they did beat them once in the regular season. Like it's not impossible.
Right.
But it's not gonna. They're not gonna win the whole.
Golden State is going to go to 8-0 in the playoffs thus far.
Give him
in my
bad
opinion. No, I just think that Utah is overmatched, and Golden State is working their way toward. They know where they need to be and what they need to do, and because they're a little dinged up, the more rest they can get, the faster they can dispose of a team. Why play around with them?
Yeah.
Do you know why let them get back in it? Get rid of them, get it going. And they know that's better for them because they are dealing with some things that could get complicated.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally just love the fact that this was a blowout game towards the end, because you finally saw Matt Barnes get off the bench and get some playing time.
We believe.
We believe.
Fair.
Anniversary.
Hell yeah. Talking
In the
about Matt
building.
Barnes right now.
I'm just saying, like, they do
Matt
have a lot of
Barnes
injuries.
is relevant. He's relevant.
He can be.
He plays time.
Yeah.
And he's one of
10 to
those
15
players that also can get in the head of another team's player and completely get them off of their game. He does help in in those little capacities, things that don't necessarily show up in the stats.
Okay. No disagreement here.
Yeah.
So, is there a scenario for you guys where Mike Brown cost this Warrior team a win or championship potential if Steve Kerr doesn't come back? Like, does Mike Brown play enough of a role to hurt this team?
No. I'll just say it. Listen, this whole coaching thing is so crazy to me. Mike Brown is not that bad of a coach. He's
not.
Really not. I'm not saying he's great. I don't think he's a better coach than Steve Kerr. But I mean, listen, he did okay with LeBron when he had LeBron. He's definitely a downgrade from Kerr, but he's not an idiot. There's a reason why he keeps getting hired by these coaching staffs to be an assistant coach. Like, he knows what he's talking about. He's not that bad.
But it's different
Mike
when
Brown for press.
it's different when you're focusing on one aspect of the game and developing an overall plan. Having said
I
that,
get it.
I mean, having said that, he has had the unfortunate benefit of, same thing with Ty Lue, coaching with LeBron, where
Right.
if LeBron doesn't achieve, then it's your fault. But if LeBron goes on to
Exactly.
achieve,
LeBron
it's
gets
all
the credit.
LeBron. So that's, one of those hard things about coaching
and-
somebody on that level.
What was the narrative on Mike D'Antoni before the season started? And look at him now. You know what I'm saying? I think people just take these things out of
It's fit. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Fit and chemistry are things that on paper you can't see, you can't predict, you can't. Chemistry is so important, and people like to discount it a lot. And they also kind of put coaching in a vacuum. Well, anybody can get out there and do that. And to your point, I think we obviously know that Steve Kerr has a special touch. He inherited a lot too when he got handed his team from the groundwork that Mark Jackson laid. So what I think is that, he's obviously set up for success, and he has a team that knows themselves and knows where to go. But there could be problems with things like substitution patterns, timeouts, where he doesn't maybe have their rhythm completely down. But ultimately, no.
That's what Christine noticed today. That's what
Yeah,
she
it's
said.
a good point. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine. Like, this team knows how to, run the show themselves. But like you said, like, just making those timely adjustments is what's going to keep them fresh down the line, and
I just
it's
think
really
when
important.
When four of your starters are four of the top 15 players in the league, it's just. I mean, coaching's not going to come into play probably until the Western Conference Finals for these guys.
I was
If
thinking
It's not that
probably
far
not
away.
to the finals. Yeah,
It's not that far
it
away.
really isn't.
I think in the finals, there's like injuries, stuff like that. That's when coaching, I think, becomes really, really important. Or if he has to go against Pop.
Your rotation's
Yeah.
going to be so short then too. So
Well, I mean, coaching matters for other, like, it doesn't matter for the Warriors right now because they're so good, but like in the Wizards Celtics series, it matters. You know what I mean? In the Rockets Spurs series,
Yeah.
it matters. Just that right now, the talent is the main thing in basketball. It really is. And if you have way more talent than a team, you're most likely going to win in the professional level, at least.
Yes. So before we jump ahead to the games the night before, I want to get on record everyone's hypothesis on what will happen in the Celtics Wizards series. Like, what's going to happen in 7 for you guys?
in 7, you
Yes.
think it's going 7?
Well, if 4-2, 4-1, whatever you guys, what do you think is going to happen in that series? We got to get this on paper so we can hold y'all responsible.
I mean, I go first. I was on Sunday. I said Wizards in 6, and I stand by that. I do think they're going to
4-2.
win games 3. I think they're going to win game 4. I think they're going to have to take game 5 in Boston, but I think they're going to do it. I mean, they just have to play defense, and if Boston goes
Which is
cold,
hard for them, apparently.
If Boston goes cold from the 3-point range, it's very possible. Boston's been shooting the 3 well. They're usually not that great of a 3-point shooting team. So
I'm 4-3 Washington, so I still
Yeah.
have to say we're going to win, hopefully.
I am torn if I think it's going to go 6 or 7, but I've been pro Washington all the time. I've been looking ahead for quite some time to a Cavs Washington Eastern Conference Finals. So those
Everybody
are what my
can't pick
expectations are.
Washington. That's not good.
I wasn't going to pick Washington.
Okay, yeah, all right,
so
there you go.
I got
What you got?
I got the Celtics in 7.
4-3. Okay, we got that on paper. We'll hold you guys
I'm
responsible.
going to ask the chat.
Yes.
Let's see what y'all think,
guys
chat.
Trapsy Town
Fire
says
it up.
Wizards in 6.
Somebody please pick the Celtics. I can't do it with you guys.
I mean, but the Celtics weren't a conventional
That's so-
number 1
that's
in
so-
the first
right.
place to begin with.
It's so
think that's
interesting.
gonna
They're
stop
on
them,
1
though?
seed. They're up 2-0 in the playoff series, and still so many people are picking the Washington Wizards. I feel like if I was a Celtics fan, I'd feel
Offended?
Yeah.
I feel away if I was a Celtics
Yeah.
fan, too.
it's
Yeah, not,
interesting. It's
but-
very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, while we get that from the chat, we can jump to. I guess
Damn,
this is going to be a
someone jumped
series:
at
the
Rockets.
Toronto Raptors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, so the Cavs won 116-105 in complete dominance. I have the Cavs sweeping the Raptors in this series. LeBron James gave them 35 points and 10 rebounds. Do you guys think that the Raptors can make this series competitive? Is it too much to think that they'll be swept?
Hold on, before we go on, CJ Houston says Celtics in 7. Sam Jones says Celtics in 5. There you go, Deanjilo.
Thanks.
There you go.
Appreciate you guys.
Shout out to you guys. Don't leave me hanging.
And Ayan Ibiam, I just jacked your name up. I'm so sorry. It says Celtics in 6. Ian, is that your name? Ian? Okay.
But to
You got
answer your
these
question, Deanjilo.
Cavs highlights going.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
do not. I do not think the Raptors can make this a competitive series at all, especially the Cavs played in Game 1. They look like they're the better team. They are the better team. The
Hands
Raptors,
down.
I mean, I'll say it for the 900,000th time, they don't move the ball very well.
I don't like
I mean,
that.
you're right. I
You
love
do
you.
not. You
I
show them
don't.
zero love.
I showed the Raps zero. I love their fan base, which is weird. I love Toronto. I love
like
the
them
city.
too.
I love their fan base, but I just don't like. I don't like their team. I don't. They might steal a game. I had actually the Cavs in 6 before the series started because I was worried about the Cavs defense. But if they play any sort of defense, they're going to sweep the Raptors. That's how I
So
feel.
are you on paper for them sweeping?
No, I'm on paper for 6. I'm staying
Okay.
with 6.
Okay. What about you guys? What do you think about this series? Did you guys? I mean, it's it seems like to me that DeMar DeRozan is the only person there who believes that they have a chance against the Cavaliers. I do. It almost feels
Kobe
like
system.
Yeah, the Kobe system. Really, he's in a different mind right now. But it feels like in that game, these guys have already defeated before they got on the court. I mean, it was embarrassing from the jump in the first quarter in that game.
Yeah, you could see it in their body language, their attitude. Like, they also weren't moving the ball well. Like, I'll give you that. I definitely saw that in their play. And, yeah, I mean, even if DeMar DeRozan has, like, a breakout game, a crazy, like, 30-point game, I still see the Cavs sweeping them. Like, it'll be, like, a valiant effort, but just not enough.
It'll be close.
Not enough.
Nice try.
But then happened.
Good job, Bob.
Thanks for showing up.
I'm gonna give the Raptors one. I'm gonna say it's a gentleman's sweep.
Fair. It's funny how the tone of this series has changed. I feel like a lot of people, not you guys, but a lot of people were really like, oh, the Raptors are better this year. They should make it competitive. They'll go 4-2, still lose, but get 2 games and it'll be competitive. Now, after this first game, people were like, oh, the Cavs are good at basketball.
And I don't think they're well coached either. I don't think Dwayne Casey's a good coach, to be honest with you. I mean, that's him. I mean, Iron in the chat says Toronto's offense is non-existent. I can never watch any full games when they're on way too much iso ball. Basically just validating my point. But that's on the coach.
Yep.
That is on the coach. I mean, you have players like DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry who can go off the dribble and shoot, but at some point you have to implement a system to get other people involved and to create plays.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like him.
Yeah, we've made that clear. If you have a list, Russell Westbrook's at the top, and the Raptors' offense is number 2.
I like Westbrook. Let's not get into Westbrook. I do like Westbrook. I just don't. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Not tonight. We can talk about that later.
So the Raptors are 1-5 in Game 2s on the road all time, and they've never won a playoff series when trailing 0-2. So it's not looking good in the future for Toronto. But successful season. You got out of the first round.
Is it though? They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I mean, I know Toronto's expecting big things out of this team.
I mean, do they really think that they're going to win a championship? Like, I mean, is that a belief in Toronto? Is that a good belief?
I think that if they really believe that championship was the expectation, you would see more of a sense of urgency within the team.
Agreed.
I would agree.
So I think that they know that there's a certain buffer, like, well, we're going up against LeBron, so you see that there?
I'm dying. Yeah. I saw that earlier, that tweet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's for later. It's just amusing.
Which is kind of interesting though, because they took the Raptors. The Raptors took the Cavs, to 6 games last year, and now you have Serge Ibaka, who is I love Serge. He's probably the only player, and I like Valanciunas too. You figure, all right, we added Serge. We can kind of get over the hump with him,
but there's some, and maybe it's the coaching, but there's just something in this team you don't see that fire, in my opinion.
Fugazi.
Okay.
I love that word.
We the Fugazi.
Wow.
That's the hashtag I use every time I tweet about the Raptors. We the Fugazi.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What's going on? Is there like a Knicks Raptors rivalry?
There's not. I'm still better than knocked out in the playoffs in like 2000. But
so yes, there is. The Raptors, it's tough. But when you reach this point as a team, you're not going to win a championship. You can't actually compete. Do you blow it up? I mean, what do you do? Do you hang on till like it don't go no more? Like, what do you do? Like, it's a similar situation that the Clippers are in.
No, it's not similar at all. The Clippers are in a much worse situation, I think, because one, they're on the West. They've been together as their unit, their cohesive unit, their superstars for a much longer time period, and they have had more power and have fallen short. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, they haven't even been to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and they've blown a lot of leads.
So
I guess it's not as dramatic, but that's the general idea of we're the worst you can be when it comes to NBA. You're just good enough to get to the playoffs and then lose.
Yeah.
But I think that is
Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, the Hawks.
The Hawks. I think that is a reality for a lot of teams in the NBA currently because of the superstar building era, which is something that because these teams are set for the postseason. We've never had, should we have a Cavs Warriors finals, that will be the first time in history 2 teams have faced up against each other 3 consecutive seasons in a row. So we obviously are seeing the difference in the changes of the financial structure of the NBA, the changes to the game as far as with the 3 taking over and it becoming a more of a finesse game. So I think that these are just things that are going to work themselves out naturally in the process because we've had dynasties before. Yep. People never complained about seeing the Bulls every year.
True.
So I think to a certain degree, there are going to be some teams that just aren't going to make it. They just don't have the talent to feasibly make it to the finals? What can you do? Everybody's not going to have the same type of talent
For
distribution.
you as a GM, are you going to be like, okay, well, let's still stay with this team, or are you going to like wait till LeBron retires? Like, what's your game plan?
I think that there's
Gotta
some
keep going.
you got to keep going. There's some complementary pieces that you could add to maybe help with, shore up certain areas. I still think they need help on defense. Surge helps. PJ Tucker was kind of good for them in that sort of, tough role player guy coming off the bench. I think that they need to look at their bench a bit more. And then Dwayne Casey, weren't they on the verge of getting rid of him? And then
Traffic Town says they got to get rid of Casey.
So I think that is a big part of it. I think that coaching probably at this point has a lot to do with where they are and why they aren't moving at least a little further ahead or moving the needle to be the top competitive team. Like we know every season, or at least for these 2 seasons, we're going to see the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals putting in work. We don't feel that way about them, and we should.
So, Raptor fans, there's no hope, but it's okay.
No, that is not what I said at all. There just needs to be some changes.
No, I agree. I think that's a great synopsis about just when you're in those type of situations. But for this series, this season is not looking very good. Right. But jumping to our final game, this was the one that surprised me the most for sure, because I have San Antonio winning this series. But they were embarrassed on their home court, 126-99. Were you guys surprised by this? Is this what you expected?
I had Houston winning, but not like that. I thought Houston would win because I have Houston in 6. But, I was watching the game and I was kind of looking at the stats and I was like, all right, well, who on the Spurs can actually help Kawhi score the basketball against a team like Houston that's going to put up points? And I'm like,
who should it be?
It should be. It should be. It should be LaMarcus Aldridge.
If she got a list too,
I have a list
I don't
too.
like lists. LaMarcus Aldridge is up there.
He's on.
Is he number 1?
No. I don't know who number 1 is. I mean, he's irrelevant. You can't be number 1 if you really don't get involved in the flow of the thing. Right. You're just wasted opportunity.
But you have an old Tony Parker. You have an old Manu Ginobili.
Oh, see,
Danny
I don't
Green.
like the old argument. I don't like the old argument.
When I say old, they're just not what they used to be. They're not.
I understand, but here's the thing like that. They are not what they used to be. But at the same time, look at their record this season. Nobody was saying, oh, they're old. Nobody expected this type of thing. We can't use that as an excuse. They weren't old to get to the point where they were in the Western Conference and what they did, and everyone's talking about them. So now, because they just ran into a buzzsaw in the Rockets that are a faster team and a different style of play than what they are, we can't now start calling them old.
I mean, they are. To be
they
fair,
are, but I'm saying we can't say they lost because they're old.
But
because were they old last series?
No, I'm saying they're losing because they can't put up points anymore. Manu can't put up points like he used to. Tony Parker can't put up points like he used to. Danny Green has fallen off the earth since his series against the Heat.
Hello.
I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge is on the back of a milk carton, as Jill would say. I mean, like, they have no one besides Kawhi can score. David Lee's a nice player, but he's not going to give you 25 points.
It seems like they're patching holes on the fact that this team is aging.
I can't believe they won. Like, looking at the roster now, just now, I'm like, how did this team win 61 games? Maybe it took them playing a team like the Rockets to expose them for me, but I'm like, where is Kawhi that good where he will the team like that to 61 games?
So, I mean, you have to ask, that's another question, valid question that has to be answered, but I just feel like because a team that won 61 games in the West, we can't just say, oh, they're old. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because they've been old all season then.
I get you, but the Spurs have it's the playoffs, and they have
and
always been called old. Yeah, but we're talking about championship expectations. So when it comes to comparing themselves to championship teams, yes, they're old, but of course they're not exploited against the Magic. Who cares?
Exactly.
Right, but they only play the Magic twice a year. Most of those wins that they picked up this here's the thing, but what I'm saying is most of the wins they picked up this season, to be fair, came against this Western Conference and the top half of that.
I think they beat Houston 3 times this year.
Right.
So is this series over for you guys?
No, hell no.
Okay.
Not at all.
So
I still have the Rockets winning.
Okay.
They just look dejected. Like they weren't playing the level that I expect them to play at.
They had a bad
old
game.
Or not. They had a bad game for sure. I think Houston had the competitive edge in this game. They were just playing a lot more efficiently, and I think there were multiple times where I saw Manu falling asleep on defense and people just not switching and keeping up, and they just looked tired to me. So I think this is a one-off. I think that Popovich, it's like chess for him. Like it's about the next move. So
maybe Houston was too popping for the Spurs.
It's also I think the series. I think the series.
No, I mean the city of Houston.
The physicality in the series with the Memphis Grizzlies cannot be lost either. Like that's a tough team to have to play every year because they play them every year. They always get through it, but that's a grinded out type series. So maybe that played a role and they'll find their legs tomorrow. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, I do expect them to make it competitive. I just don't see how. If Houston shoots well, they're not winning the series. Period.
Ariza was shooting well.
It's a big if, but I mean they've been shooting well all year. Ryan Anderson's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Eric Gordon won the 3-point contest. James Harden's one of the best players in the league. And then on top of that, have Capella down low. They can score inside. It's not like they can't score inside. They're a very well put together team and a very balanced team. They play better defense than they give them credit for. Patrick Beverley's one of the best defensive guards in the league. They're freaking dangerous.
And they have a lot of fire.
Does anybody have the Spurs winning this series?
I did. I had Rockets in 6.
I had them in 5, but
5. God damn.
No,
You're adjusting?
I never thought.
It's possible.
Initially, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's possible anymore.
I see the Spurs winning game 2, not decisively, but winning game 2. I don't.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't see them getting swept on the road. I mean, at home. Excuse me, in San Antonio by the Rockets.
Okay, Jill, what did you have?
Rockets in 6.
Yeah, I had 6, and then Sunday. Who was on our Sunday panel? Rippy had
the. I don't know what he said.
He had Rockets in 7.
Okay, he had the Rockets.
And Allie had Spurs in 7.
Yeah, and I have the Spurs in 6.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think if the Spurs do win the series, it has to be LaMarcus Aldridge? Is there anyone else who has to step up as well?
For them to win the series, it has to be LaMarcus Aldridge. Because who else is going to score that many points that consistently?
Right.
I mean, Tony can give you a vintage game every once in a while like he did in Game 6 against Memphis, but is he going to do that throughout the whole series?
Trapsy Towns has Rockets in 5. And that dog, ISO 100, says James went from the Little B curse to MVP.
Is there a scenario where the Spurs, if they do lose this series, they should make some major changes? Or keep doing what they're doing?
I mean, I think the Spurs every offseason tinker in small ways. They make small adjustments or bring those people in that can fill roles where, parts are rolling out. So I think the Spurs are a well-oiled machine. Pop knows the type of players he wants to bring in. You have to think, when's the last time the Spurs missed the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, never.
I mean, but
the year before
not
Duncan.
never.
Yeah. The year before they got
But I mean, I'm just saying that is
out for the season.
That's an anomaly.
Yeah.
So you have to, once again, pay homage to coaching because we have just had a conversation about how some
they always
diminish
have a
it.
chance because Pop is their coach.
And just look at he knows the type of players to bring into his system. So you can't say that they need to make adjustments because they've won 61 games and they obviously always make adjustments. But I do think that they have to plan for a mass exodus of Parker, Ginobili.
Yeah.
That cliff is here.
Yeah.
I think their times of being a championship contender are over. I mean, with the Warriors in the West, they're not getting past the Warriors. You kidding me? With that squad, absolutely not. I mean, and depending on what happens in the Rocket series, the Rockets might leapfrog them too. So I think unless they make some major adjustments, maybe if LaMarcus Aldridge wakes up, becomes that number 2 star, then maybe. But they're not championship contenders to me anymore.
Interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, it looks like that because to get knocked out in the second round again, it would be, that's not Spurs basketball. So it has that series, that game really showed me some things because I'm so low on the Rockets. I just don't.
You don't like D'Antoni. That's what it is.
I don't think James Harden and D'Antoni as leaders are going to get you much success. And I think if they play the Warriors in the Western Conference Final, it'll be a very disappointing.
What bothers you about James Harden?
Well, James Harden won, if we want to go way back, OKC in the finals. He didn't show up there.
He did. He was absent.
Yeah, but he was young. He was
right.
And again, Western Conference Finals, after they beat the Clippers, when they played the Warriors in that series, he didn't show up there. So I'm just like, all right, that's a trend. You know what I mean? Maybe he's grown out of it now, but I don't think so. And Mike D'Antoni doesn't have that type of success in championships. So who can they count on?
Even with the season they've had, you still think?
It's been a great season, but James Harden and Mike D'Antoni have very good seasons. That's not hard for them.
I guess. I mean, I think Mike. I don't know if you remember the series when Robert Horry hip checked Steve Nash into the freaking scores table. I don't know if you guys remember that at all. I think it was like 2000.
Oh, vaguely, yeah. I mean, I love those Suns teams.
They took a 3-2 lead, but then Boris Diaw and Stoudemire got suspended because they left the bench, lost Game 6, lost Game 7. That Suns team would have won a championship. That never happened.
So many would have.
I'm just saying.
The Wizards could have won today.
I'm just saying.
But it didn't happen.
I'm just saying. Without they didn't have Amari Stoudemire for Game 6, they would have won. They would have absolutely won that series. I'm convinced, and they would win the championship.
Well, unfortunately, we can't live
Throwback
in,
Tuesday,
what ifs.
not Throwback Thursday.
Unfortunately, we can't live in the what ifs.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, I mean,
you're right.
that's,
You're
fan in the
right.
chat.
You're
that's
right.
it's a personal thing. They could definitely rampage past the Spurs, and they looked great in Game 1, but I just don't believe it, and I also don't think that series with the Warriors next round would be entertaining at all. So I want to see the Spurs play the Warriors. But that's personal.
Okay.
That's me, guys. What's the chat saying? Are they saying anything?
They're talking about video vixens and.
Yeah.
Put it on the
This
board.
is
What we talking
hilarious.
about?
Because I said that James Harden is doing better this year
Because he
because
got
he
rid of
dropped
Kardashians.
Chloe and
Yeah.
he got rid of all of his Insta vixens. And, in his off season, he spent it in Arizona working out at his old college. He left. Usually every summer you can find James at all the clubs and with a new Insta vixen, stripper, whomever is popping.
So he's
and he
focused
took
right
himself
now.
seriously this summer. Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, you see a result of that in his play this year.
We'll see.
In addition to his new coach. It could be a coincidence, but I think not.
I'd love to see them have success. I like James Harden. I like his game, but
Yeah.
that would be cool if that's what it was. Actually, on that note, do you have any lifestyle updates for us today?
I have a few. First of all, let's say that after the Cavs' performance yesterday, Amon Shumpert's wife, Tiana Taylor,
Yes.
promised him some great loving when he got home from that performance. And so today on Twitter, Iman wanted to
Uh-oh,
thank
where
his
you going
wife,
with this?
not on Twitter, I'm sorry, Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Iman wanted to thank his wife and say that he slept like a baby after the game and her rewarding him for that Cavs effort. And she called herself a soul snatcher and had the eggplant
Oh
emoji.
my!
Oh, this is what we want to put on social
See
media.
that? Oh my god.
There's
Hey,
a
that's
lot
some lifestyle
going
stuff
on
for
out
you.
there, There's more.
Oh, go ahead.
There's more. A soul snatcher. I don't know if you saw Demont.
Took his mic off.
Dante
did soul snatcher
Jones
now.
of the Cavs got 2 technical fouls yesterday and
Yes.
was ejected out of the game. We know he only gets $10,000 because he joined the Cavs the last day of the season. His
Right.
salary is prorated. He was fined $6,000. So LeBron
Oh,
James
NBA.
graciously offered to pay his fines for him.
man.
Same thing happened last year during the playoffs. So
Dante
hold it down, Dante. And 2 other things. One, on a kind of sad, odd note, Brandon Roy, former Trailblazer, he's okay, but he was shot in the leg
Get
over
outta
the
here.
weekend.
What?
He was in Southern California visiting his grandmother. He has relatives out here. There was some type of gang-related activity that happened, and someone, I guess, did a drive-by, and he was shielding some children.
How did I not know
Roy
that?
is a
I
high
didn't hear
school.
about this at all.
It just came out. A short time
shielding
ago.
children.
with that
He
He was,
lifestyle
he
stuff.
was
I
like
love it.
shielding children
All right,
that were
Jill.
outside.
Hero.
He's a high school coach back in Portland.
I
So
heard about that.
in Washington. So he's back in Washington right now. He's okay, but he was shot.
Wow.
So be careful in those streets.
Be safe out there, Brandon Roy. I'm a big Brandon Roy
And
fan.
Yeah, me too.
last but not least, potential draftee and your favorite and mine, big baller brand, LeVar Ball, is allegedly looking at a $200 price point for his son's shoe that he's looking to do in concert with maybe investors or one of the Chinese shoe companies, since Nike and Under Armour have given him firm no's,
And
and
Adidas.
And Adidas.
No, Adidas actually hasn't said a firm no yet,
Uh-oh.
but they have said to kind of not be interested. There's still a potential because they have a relationship with I'm sorry, I just brain. Who is it? Lonzo. With Lonzo from UCLA, which is an Adidas school, as well as Chino Hills, their high school was an Adidas school also. So they may just offer him a standard endorsement deal. That's not off the table yet, even though LeVar has said that they won't take that. That's still kind of floating out there. So those are your little updates,
Thanks, Jill, for our
breaking
lifestyle
news.
updates. I've learned.
That
I
dog
learned a lot.
Izzo says LeVar Ball's a joke.
Yeah, that's you asking what do we think of
Yeah.
LeVar Ball. Yeah.
Shout out to all the soul snatchers out there.
Soul snatcher.
We
You
need
guys
y'all.
learned that so nice.
We need y'all out there, man.
Being
Everybody got to play their role. Right?
Everybody got to play their
Everybody gotta
role,
play their
and
role.
wives. Even if you are an R&B/actress/fitness vixen, you can still snatch your man's soul
Hey,
after
amen.
a
Yeah,
You
game.
I
better
mean,
preach.
they had their little still
But
from
men
the
are-
Fame
men are
video.
soul
I was
snatchers.
like, girl,
Men are
That's a
soul
lot.
snatchers as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a female thing. It's equal opportunity.
Oh, okay. Well,
do
yeah.
tell.
We do that on the after the
That's-
show.
I-
man.
Yeah.
you
You already
know,
brought out the licks. Like, it's after
check
hours.
out
It was in the
Instagram
lifestyle
Live
news. I
for
was just
that.
saying.
You know,
I'm just saying, you guys are
And then
appreciated.
D'Angelo's
it's
lifestyle
late.
news.
It's late. We're counting down the last
Who
minute.
plays tomorrow? Is it Cavs?
So we got
Yeah.
Toronto, Cleveland,
Cavs.
and Houston, San Antonio. Yeah, I mean, you guys have guesses? I mean, what's going to happen tomorrow? Toronto, Cleveland, Houston, San Antonio.
Poor Toronto will lose again. They'll get one at home, perhaps.
Maybe.
Gentleman's sweep. I think the Spurs got to bounce back.
Have to.
Have to.
Agreed,
I
100%.
don't expect them to have 2 games in a row like that. So I think Spurs will win.
Agreed.
Agreed.
On both ends.
What about you?
I'm taking the Cavs. I think they win again. I don't know, just the way the Rockets won, and I know it's one game, but I just don't see the Spurs being able to score with them.
On the road, man? They're getting swept on the road? That's a sweep if they lose 2 games on the road.
I mean, things are possible. I mean, I can see I can see the Spurs winning one in Houston, but I don't know. It might be just a prisoner of the moment type thing. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I'm taking the Rockets again.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, look, do you guys have anything else to add before we
Right.
close
I
out
don't
for
know.
the day?
Yeah, YouTube Ed.
You need to
What
chill.
up, homie? What
the-
up?
YouTube Ed
Catch
says,
me
"Wow."
outside. How about that? No, just playing.
What do you say? Uh-oh, I'm scared.
Don't worry about it.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll read it
yeah.
afterwards.
this is live. This is live.
We live, baby.
live,
Catch
baby. We
me
out here.
outside.
All right, well, guys, thank you for joining us for this week of our sports recap. First, Jill, can you tell them where they can find you on Twitter?
You can find me everywhere at Stiletto Jill. Hit me up, conversate. I know that's not a real word. And we can talk sports and pop culture.
And you guys can find me all over social media at Christine Bean. I'm your girl, Christine Alexis.
Josh.
I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Josh_Rodriguez_. Let's continue this conversation on Twitter. I like to get at it, and so do these ladies and this gentleman right here.
Yes, please comment and review. Give us 4 stars or more. We don't want anything lower than that.
Yes, iTunes, all that good stuff.
Yes,
Let me
yes.
know
Yeah.
here.
Shout out to the
iTunes,
shorties
shout out
and
to
40s.
Let them know,
Yes.
Deanjilo.
Shorties
Hey,
and
gotta
40s.
get through the pain. Do what you gotta do. Shout out to Washington Wizard fans out there. You guys can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at Deanjilo TV on Twitter and at Deanjilo on Instagram. Thanks again, you guys, for joining us. We out because it's late and I'm tired. So see you later. Take care.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.